As a part of our conversation series, I was just contemplating on the idea of having a discussion on materials because as architects and designers, we feel that materials play a very important role in whatever we create, and also as consumers, people who actually live in the spaces, again the impact of materials is very huge. So in that aspect, with more focus on learners of the subject, students who have been now getting into architecture and trying to understand the subject, a little chat on materials I thought is a good conversation to have.
Yeah, I think so. Especially when we switch from paperwork to actual practical implementation of our ideas. This is the first very important thing which needs to be discussed, especially for the students to understand every materials, characteristics, strengths, drawbacks, everything. I think.
Yeah, it's as you said, when you switch, it's kind of a shock from a complete paper zone to a real world. So that transition is quite a transition. I think materials in that transition play an extremely
Important
important
role.
role. Absolutely. So if we could really look at the way humans evolved, I think one of the earliest dwellings could be caves, right?
True.
That's where
Yeah.
probably humans felt that are safe to be in, they are protected from other predators. So the closest what we can talk about to start with is stone,
Yes.
right? So if we look at time tested sort of natural materials, we are looking at say a stone, or we are looking at wood, or we are looking at lime, which was later on used to actually build dwellings, right?
Yeah, and of course, I think clay also.
Clay and
If
earth,
you want to
yes.
mention adobe,
Absolutely. And moving on, taking from these natural resources what we call time tested, man made, or man modified materials. We can look at bricks, we can look at, say,
glass,
glass, of course, we can look at steel,
yes,
we can look at cement. When we really design a structure or a space, um, I think the materials actually help in building the character of that particular structure or particular space. In today's age and time, when every day new materials are being produced, so where do we as architects or students who are learning architecture need to focus or keep their attention?
I think though the style of architecture mostly drives the kind of materials you would want to use, but I think if you can manage to handle different materials with appropriate proportion, that can really build up a personality to suit what kind of a character you want to build in your designs. I think.
So basically, we need to allow those materials to express themselves so that they become a part of the character building or the personality what a particular space or a structure wants to be.
Yeah, like if we can quote one example from Louis Kahn's "I Am Ahmedabad," where he says, "Let bricks breathe." So one single idea could be expressed in such a large form.
As we progress in this profession, because the dynamics of professions keep changing with time, and they always say that architecture actually is the living memory of history of human evolution, right? So in that context, as we move on, we are getting more and more new materials, but there are certain fundamental materials which we will always be clinging on to or will be applying into our profession. So, with these new and innovative materials which are coming in, what are your thoughts? What do you think we should really take, and how really we can apply these in our practice?
Yeah, I think without understanding the complete character of material, using it would not be ideal. Then you see most of the designers or architects end up their driving force is to use certain materials which is latest, this, that, maybe because of peer pressure from the client also. But if you don't understand well and use it, I don't think it is going to give results.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that understanding of the material is very important, and in the overall scheme of design, how suitable is that material, and whether it is expressing itself to create the personality what the designer wants to create, or in the process of design you have kind of kept that sort of a feel or that sort of a personality, and this material is able to complement that or create that. That should be the driving or the guiding principle for choice of materials. Can we kind of really conclude on that, or be for, I know we can't really conclude on anything
That's the
in today's
point.
age and time, yeah, but it's something which probably is an innate thing as human beings will drive the choice. The brick per se, many of the contemporary architects, particularly who came from Europe but started to do a lot of projects in India and got influence, is the whole concept of using brick and keeping it exposed. So, probably it's understanding the quality and the character of that particular material and what the architect would have thought on what character or personality they want to create for the building, and with that thought of marrying, probably they would have thought that yes, I think this is a good idea to keep the brick exposed and make that building speak for itself.
Do you mean to say that, like, as you are looking for the structural strength of material, of a particular material, as well as its characteristics from the aspect of aesthetics, meaning color, texture, both could be seen and experienced?
Absolutely, absolutely. Actually, there is no doubt about it. So, one aspect is the technical aspect of the material itself. There is no doubt that as consumers and people who are going to decide on what material to be used, a lot of this technical data is going to help. But parallelly, as designers, that what is the feel this material is emitting, what is the character this material is emitting, I think that is an important driving factor for choice of
Yeah. For
materials.
example, I think from technical aspect, its structural stability, durability will be few examples, and for aesthetic sides, color, texture, and form of a material.
So, on the aspect of making the material itself express itself, and become a personality or contribute to develop a personality for a particular design, I think this is very important. So, in today's age and time, what is happening, Vivek, is as we are practicing, we realize that every day there's a new material coming in. But in this consumerist world where we are getting so many materials, sometimes it leads to some sort of challenge, particularly for younger generation, and with the clients itself or the consumer itself coming and telling that, oh, can we do that, can we do that. So this is important, I guess, as professionals to really get the hang of, though the materials are very good, how much it could be applied in the context of
Yeah,
design,
where and how.
where and
Like, to
how.
give an example, if in our country, like tropical country, if you use a glazing or glass facade on south, will be a terrible thing, without
Correct.
understanding, just copying things would not be ideal thing. So, and one more aspect, one dimension I feel about material, people like students needs to understand is, let's say, like, for glass, so it gives a possibility to have a visual link between two spaces. So this dimension of material also should be
Very true.
understood by students, I think.
Very true. So, in essence, we can kind of say that we started off with man-made, sorry, natural materials, and then we came to man-made materials, and we spoke a little bit of the personality of the materials in the application of actual whatever, whether it's the space in which it's going to be used or the structure on which it is going to be used. So, this is probably something which we need to bear in mind while we make a choice of material. Anything else you think we need to add here?
Yeah, this is very vast subject as though, but I think, yeah, as we said earlier also, instead of getting driven by compulsive force from peer pressure to use technologically advanced material, we should uh, check before selecting our material based on certain criteria like climatology, like durability, things like that.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, we can say that let your design drive the decision for choosing a material, and not material drive actually the whole.
Sometimes it may get justified, like we can use bricks for the building if it is utilized wisely that way. But basically, fundamentally, few criteria like climatology, economy, ecology should be a driving force to choose a material, I think.
Excellent.